All right, good morning everyone. Much like I'm going to borrow what Jo did, can I get everyone to put your hands up, please? And okay, so I need to put your hands down if you have been a Kaggle Grandmaster. Have been. So basically, have them just put your hands up. If you haven't been in the top 10 of Numerai, put your hands down. If you've known Numerai for more than 10 years or so, it's like JRB for a long time, put your hands down. If you've known Numerai for more than 5 years, put your hands down. Known about Numerai for less than 1 year, keep your hands up. And keep your hands up if you're not technical. Okay, cool. Okay, so hopefully this will be useful for some of you. I came across Numerai back in May of last year. My background is software engineering. I'm not a data scientist, a bit like Everting. But I was wondering, I was curious to see at that time people were talking about vibe coding, and I was wondering, could you be a vibe data scientist, whatever that phrase would be? So I did my first Kaggle competition with AI, got to 55th position out of 20,000 contestants after 3 hours. I was like, that's cool. And then my Kaggle friend said, Ling, try Numerai. And I came across Numerai and I got really addicted to how to build it and building neural nets and all that kind of stuff. But coming from a software engineering background, it was I ended up with a ton of Python scripts. It's all a mess, and it's just like, having to retrain things, you get new data, and it's just like, and then, things kind of rot in the corner. So I started building up my own pipeline and to do this at scale and everything. And then back in January, I was in Numeroo, and I had a few interesting ideas. And one of them came out to be Numeroo. And the idea of Numeroo is to have almost a few clicks, and you can build your own model. You can submit that daily, and you can hook it up to Numerai, and the idea is then you can run it as a non-technical person. So unfortunately, probably not for the masses here, because if you've already got your own setup, then this is probably not so interesting. But if you're interested and curious, you want to just create your model and so forth and get going fairly quickly, then this might be interesting. I'm going to skip over this slide because we've talked about that. So basically, Numeroo, the platform will automatically download the data every day. If you've got an account, it will you can get it to train a like GMO model. I've even created a PFM plugin model. I've created various neural nets, XGBoost, Warp GBM, PatBoost. They are going to be appearing on the platform soon. It does also mean that there's a GPU, so you can, once I solve the security issue, so the idea is you can upload your own code and models. I want to wrap that around a Docker container and to run that on GPU, and then you can use that to train and run daily predictions, and do submission management, so you can link your Numerai account with the platform and then auto-submit anything. So that's what I want to do. And the other thing I want to do for Numeroo is to help to raise awareness of Numerai and also make it easier for non-technical people, probably like me, to get started with it initially, to kind of just understand all the mechanics, because there's a lot of things going on. And in particular, I have lots of non-tech friends who say to me, Ling, this is great, you made 50% return over 3 months, like, can I get some of that? I'm like, maybe not, I don't know. So it's an easy way to kind of get people more into this, and I also feel that perhaps like with, thinking about like how NMR seems to be just sliding since I've joined in May, it's like, well, how can we increase this? And maybe if you get more people, it feels to me like an economics problem, right? So if there's only 500 data scientists using NMR, then the probability about NMR price going up is probably relatively tight, but if you have more people getting involved with NMR and that kind of stuff, then there'll be more demand, and of course we know the supply is limited, so that means NMR should go up. So at the moment, I think there's 3 paths to this. So beginner, at the moment, just where the platform is today. So basically, you can sign up an account, you can click, select a model you want, select a button to train, and away you go. And then the next 2 phases I want to build out is sort of infrastructure. So this will include integrating with Optuna and integrating with weights and biases. So if you want to run experiments and stuff like that, you can do so with a click. You can store that data into, stores all the data into weights and biases of all the model data. You can see, like, you can run into experiments and all that kind of stuff. But I need to solve the compute time problem, because obviously if I have 100 people all running Optuna tasks and stuff, that's going to be a lot of compute and a very big bill. So, but that is definitely coming. And then we advanced the idea. Then I think we talked about that if you're a great data scientist and you've got a great model, then maybe you want to design a model on Numerai, and maybe effectively then you come your own quant fund, and then you can maybe take some Numerai from other people on the platform and so forth. But that's kind of further down the line, hopefully. So basically the idea is that there's no servers required, no code required. The platform takes care of all the kind of infrastructure. I guess being a software engineer, that's been my life for the last 20, 30 years, so I kind of understand a bit of that. And then it means that as data scientists, you can just focus on building models and stuff and not worrying about platform breaking or whatever. So that's the idea. Sure about the headaches. So basically, I've talked about Optuna and Numerai integration. Okay. So I think in the workshop, I will just talk about, we'll go through for some people in the workshop, we'll go through getting an account set up and all those sort of basics, and hopefully you'll be able to help me improve the site as well. It's only been in development the last month or so in my part-time, and I guess today's going to be the release date, so for V1. What else do I want to talk about? So basically just it simplifies everything. And then this is sort of the kind of the roadmap that I've got in my mind. So hopefully in the future will be what I've talked about will be all ready and waiting. And also thank you very much to the Council of Elders for supplying for some funding for GPUs, so that we can start hosting people to start using the platform and have compute available and stuff like that. The current platform consists of two A6000s, so 48 gigs of RAM each, so plenty to run for Numerai competitions and 12-foot models, and it's on 24/7, so it's not like a spin, so which means that rather than spinning up a temporary server, downloading 10 gigs of files and stuff, it means that the data is there, the moment you hit submit, it runs, and basically there's no lag effectively. But it does mean that we've got a server on 24/7, so but I guess later on I'm looking to probably, as we expand this, maybe look at sort of doing distributed GPUs and stuff like that, but that's coming, hopefully. And then, any questions, anyone? Questions? Yes?
Yeah, I actually think it's all, don't get me wrong, but what's the main differentiation with these and Numeroo and MCP and Numerai skills? You also can get an agent to just submit your model now without doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think if you're a non-technical person, you would have to go through the rigmarole of going through MCP. I mean, of course, obviously, has shown you can do it with OpenClaw, but this is just, I guess that when I came up with the idea, literally in San Francisco, they had released MCP, so it's kind of like, it was just kind of a bit of a...
I'll say though that if you're like a non-technical person, like you're probably not going to know what an MCP even is, and like how to, I mean, OpenClaw is so finicky, like even for us technical people to like set up, if I were to go to like my wife and be like, I'll go to this website and buy this Mac Mini and download OpenClaw and connect to this MCP, she's going to be like, I don't know what the hell you're saying. So I think like if you're even more at like a lower technical level than that, then this is perfect.
So I mean, literally this platform should be like, my dad or my mum can literally go in, put their email address in, put a password, go click Numerai, click select model, first one, click. I don't know, maybe trees, whatever they look at, they go, what's that? And then just take the defaults, click, and then submit, and then they're done, basically. And I do actually have a model that's been running for about 15 days on Numerai. It's actually remarkably doing quite well, but hasn't resolved just yet, so I'm just going to leave it running. and see how that goes. It's a tree model. I'm not a tree person. I'm a neural net person, but there we go.
So I have a question.
You should multiply by 2 or whatever, so there'll be expressive language for that. And then that then feeds into the model. So then there's model plugin, which is PFN, could be XGBoost, it could be a neural net that's been pre-coded. And then there'll be sort of post-processing plugin that can do whatever it needs to do. And then there'll be a sort of plugin for to predict. So then you can swap out, and all these little plugins effectively is a combination of a YAML file and some Python code. So it's super flexible. So that's the sort of the plugin architecture. And then comes, I think I forgot to mention, there is coming through looking at building a DAG support, so basically direct as acyclic graph. So the idea is that if anyone's seen N8N or Maker.com, where you can drag and drop, like you can code using sort of drag and drop and like having little circles that represent different things. So the idea with the DAG support is you can then create multiple models and then create ensembles as a sort of whole pipeline workflow. But that is something that's in the pipeline. Yes.
The compute behind it, currently you or we are paying for that, but how would that work in the future? Like, could you bring your own compute or your own AWS account?
That is a very good question. So my original thought was that people could have an account. They might have like a certain credit limit, and then you can buy basically credits, ideally in Numerai, and then that would be, and then we took that into like an AWS account, and then because we can record how much compute time you used, and charge for that. So that would be coming soon. But that's actually a good idea to bring your own key potentially. We'll have to think about how that architecture would work. Any questions?
Thank you.